budget for both the Border Patrol and ICE is now greater than the State Department's budget. And it's greater than the Environmental Protection Agency's budget.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
just
that
the
has,
enforcement part of it.
just those two pieces of Homeland Security's immigration. That doesn't include USCIS.
Oh.
What that has translated into has been actual people being arrested and removed out of the United States at a level that we've never really seen before. The fiscal year for the federal government closed in October, so for the close of October of fiscal year 08, the U.S. government removed almost 350,000 people. Mostly workers, mostly parents, and what we've seen through studies is that, well, there's another set of statistics, another set of data that also is where all of our money is going in this area. We've increased worksite rates, so these are the ones that get the most news. They're Postville, they're what happened in Worthington at the Swift plant, New Bedford, Massachusetts, Laurel, Mississippi. All of these really large-scale raids of multiple hundreds of people being arrested in a single day. This last fiscal year, we arrested over 4,000 people in that capacity, which again, if you compare it to even 5 years earlier, we were in about 400 people that we were arresting in worksite raids. So the increase of numbers of people being removed has gone up more than 167% in the last 3 years. So the real investment of dollars, the border is obvious. You know, you can see it, National Guard troops being there as well as the wall being built. But the area where most in America don't see it is the day-to-day arrests and separation of families. What we've also seen in the statistics, and again, if those dollars and agents were turned on TPS, the same thing would be true. What we see happening, of course, are the people left behind. So the estimates are that there's about 5 million U.S. citizen children who have one or two parents who are undocumented. And of course, when those 350,000 people are left, or are removed, they're given the option of bringing their children with them on the plane if they want, or leaving them behind with someone else. But that's one of the social costs, really, that is being brought, again, not as well known. What we've seen in the worksite raids is that for every 100 workers arrested, there's about 75 children left behind in the worksite raids. We tend to see a higher percentage of single workers.
I'm sorry, John, you said...
About 2/3 of them are U.S. citizens. So the obvious consequence, I don't want to be redundant, but most of you already know that we will be paying the consequences. These families obviously are immediately, but my wife's in social service. She's a counselor in Spanish-speaking community, and the increase, corresponding increase of needs to do counseling, that's the one area where I think the economy is actually growing in terms of nonprofit grant making for Spanish-speaking services, mental health services. If you get a chance to listen to Jesse Beto Gomez or any of the heads who are trying to deal with the waiting lists of people who, unfortunately, a lot of children included in there who are not performing in schools because one or both parents are gone. That's what we have. The technological connectedness and capacity of ICE, of local police, of USCIS, and of the border, Border Patrol agents, of course, are also inside the United States. To communicate with one another and to find data about people they're looking for is something that, until we got records on one of my clients, I was shocked. I had no idea they had the amount of technology and agents to utilize the technology. So if, for example, they're looking for me, I'm using the example of my clients that we pulled records on. there were about 150 pages of records that included any time I'd ever purchased property, any time I'd ever registered a car, anyone who'd ever lived with me at any of the addresses. So they not only were looking for me, but were checking the records of anyone who'd been in that home or owned property with me, known associates and family members, all included in a record for somebody that they had to have pulled in a short amount of time, probably 2 or 3 weeks. And that's how they're using. No, that's how they're able to employ agents to go really door to door, which is the other type of action that's arresting far more people than the worksite raid. So the door to door raids, it's even happening. I mean, the sort of brightest and least offensive of immigrants who come to the United States, students. I was at a presentation on Friday, actually, and I was talking to a woman from Mankato, who's an international student, who said that ICE had come to her apartment and arrested, I think the woman was from Malaysia, because she had dropped out of school 2 weeks earlier. She was no longer in compliance with her student visa status, but they knew within a very short amount of time.
Because those records have now been made electronic, and they were previously just kept in a file server. And that happened.
Thanks to the IT guys.
Yeah, way to go.
So that's the bad news in a very quick summary. The solutions.
Is ICE and the other groups, are they still charging these workplace site folks with felonies so that they have no way to return back to the United States?
Well, of fiscal year 2008, about 4,000 folks who were arrested in worksite raids, about 1,000 criminal charges were brought. To 1 in 4 on a national average. The place where it got blown up was Postville, where everybody got charged. It's still the exception. What happened in Postville is still, fortunately, the exception to the rule, because they can arrest them and deport them within hours, within a couple days, which is what Worthington and Swift and raids are more typically that.
In the workplace or in the home context, we have seen a huge increase in these criminal charges against people based on illegal reentry or other kinds of criminal charges that just weren't that's the home charges. Yeah.
Do we all feel safer, brothers and sisters? Do we sit here tonight and all feel safer?
What I can say about the
solutions
solutions or the sort of the next chapter is, there's a lot of people that have relied on hope in this last presidential election for a number of different issues, and immigration is certainly very high on those issues, or in the hope quotient. What we've seen, unfortunately, is not a lot of talk about immigration reform from President Obama. We have seen the selection of Janet Napolitano as Department of Homeland Security, who does understand the need for greater immigration reform, but again, she has been silent really on raids. The 2 tracks, and we'll probably move into comprehensive immigration reform at this point, but is really what is the administration itself willing to do around raids? Are they willing to even temporarily pause what has happened, let alone call for its end? So that's the administrative reform that many of us are working on, and then there's the bigger legislative reform of comprehensive immigration reform that would sort of lift all boats, including Liberians and Salvadorans and others who have been working long and hard.
Who's going to segue into that? Oh, that was me. Okay.
Will formally give you the copy of that.
It's good ammunition for our company.
Yeah.
It shows the impact of the community, and though small but very significant, and in a particular area of the economy, healthcare. There is any change that happens, there's going to be repercussions and impacts. And so I thought it was interesting just to see parallels nationally and locally in terms of the size of the economic impact and the country of Mexico. It's
Yeah.
quite in magnitude.
Would you mind speaking tonight for just 3 or 4 minutes just to throw some highlights on this?
When
We have a program following after here.
how long?
It's from 6 to 8. So I imagine we could probably call you up sometime about 6:45 or so. Is that
Yeah, because you can say.
okay?